Welcome to the Building Doors Podcast, where we're not just pushing for opportunities for women's voices to be heard, we're creating them. I'm Christy Harst, voiceover actor and creator of the Building Doors campaign. Join us as we amplify voices, break barriers, and build doors together.
Welcome to the Building Doors LinkedIn Live for October. I'm your host, Soraya Butler, and today we're diving into VO trends in progressive politics. I'm thrilled to be joined by Jim Keneally of Lotus Productions, Brandon Perry of Sound Nectar Studios, Matt Erickson of 76 Words, and Emily Gallagher of Fishtown Films, who will be sharing their insights with us today. We want this to be an interactive conversation, so please drop your thoughts and questions in the comments. We'll be checking the chat throughout the event, and we'd love to hear from you beyond the live. So please call 216-307-1917 anytime during or after the event to leave a short voicemail with your thoughts on today's discussion and the Building Doors campaign. I also want to give a special shout out to some of our supporters who recently bought us some coffee. So many thanks to monthly subscribers Sandy Harrison Cooksey, Marion Mills, and John Lano. If you love the Building Doors campaign, our live events, or our podcast, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/buildingdoorsvo. Okay, so I would like to give our panel a chance to introduce themselves for themselves. Jim, we'll start with you.
Sure, my pleasure. Thanks, Soraya, and thanks to the Building Doors VO people for inviting me to be here today. Lotus Productions is a global voiceover casting company and audio production company. And our goal here today is really simple. We just want to make sure that our Democratic political consultants have access to voice talent that can translate political issues into everyday language and values. So that's what I'm here for today.
Awesome. Brandon, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brandon Perry. About 5.5 years ago, I started Sound Nectar Studios, post-production audio house with a large, wonderful voice roster, doing a lot of political as well, democratic political work, social documentaries, and fun commercials.
Nice, thank you. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. I'm Matt Erickson. I'm one of the co-founders of 76 Words, along with my colleague Sarah Flowers. I'm representing the agency side of things on today's call, so I'm going to speak for my people as best I can. And in case anyone out there is wondering, 76 Words is a number of words in a 30-second ad, at least the good ones. It's an increasingly archaic name, given the different sizes and shapes that media takes these days, but we're sticking with it for the time being. And we work for a whole set of progressive candidates and causes.
Excellent. Thank you. Emily.
Hello, I'm Emily Gallagher. I'm the co-founder of Fishtown Films, which is an indie film studio. I'm a cinematographer, editor, and producer of independent cinema, music videos, documentaries, and of course, democratic political ads. At Fishtown Films, along with my partner, Austin Elston, we focus on producing queer indie narratives, and we do it zero waste. In our last feature film, Citywide, which is now streaming on Amazon, we made only 16 ounces of trash. This is all the trash we made on our last film over 4 years. So basically, we believe that what you do behind the camera matters as much as what you do in front of it. And of course, I've been editing democratic political ads for almost 2 decades now, and I love it.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I just went to the CNE Creative Conference, and on every panel, they are saying how to connect with the audience is authenticity. And that is a big buzzword in the voiceover community always, to be your authentic selves. And just to get the conversation going, I want to hear a little bit from each of you how authenticity plays a role in what you do.
Sure. Well, yeah, authenticity is the key word going forward for the midterms in 26 and presidential election in 28. It's what the digital strategists are looking for and listening for. So in specific at Lotus, we're moving our auditions to, we're not just listening for a good voice anymore, but we're looking for relatability, empathy, and the ability to sound unscripted. And I'm sure Brandon and Matt know what that's all about. And Emily. I could talk all day, but go ahead.
So I do some coaching, voiceover coaching for political voiceover talent. And this is the first thing I ever say when we're in a session, is that authenticity has always been the most important part. Our political beliefs are some of the most entrenched and sacred things we have. Literally, no one wants to feel that they're being sold a different idea or a person. It's not like our detergent. It's okay if you're over the top excited about your Tide Pods. I'll either want to go get that or not, but don't oversell me on a ballot initiative or a person. So yeah, always authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd say, just to take a step back here, it feels like we're in the middle of the sort of second revolution in creative since I've been in the business, which is now coming up on 25 years now, which is when YouTube first became a thing. When we make stuff, we had to take into account that people were used to seeing videos with room light and room sound. And, we had to address the fact that so many of the tools of our craft to make things look and sound as beautiful as possible were reading as artifice to our audiences. And we had to figure out the right balance of making sure stuff sounded good, looked good, but also, did not trigger any defenses people had against trickery, basically. And I feel like, between TikTok and the emergence of AI, people are getting used to an entirely different aesthetic now, in which people create things that have a simulacrum of being real, but both creator and audience know that they aren't, in visual and voice and sound. And the question is, how do we function in that space where there are people out there who expect a certain amount of fakery as an indicator of authenticity. Like, we're not pretending this is a human. I'm a guy or a woman or a person of any gender, just making a thing using my own tools, and it's real because it's me, but the images, the sound are kind of known to be fake. And I think that authenticity, matters more than ever in terms of that. But also, I think also we need to recognize that what authentic means is changing under our feet kind of all the time. And it's a revolution that by no means has ended.
And I think what could be really interesting as we are entering this age of generative AI, which I am firmly against in the political creative field, I think especially with voice acting, that we have to hone our skills with getting our dialects and getting our regional accents really like understanding the difference of each area. So if you want the authenticity of that moment, you got to sound like that space. Like, are you from North Philly, or are you from, are you Delco accident? Do you know those different accents, and can you really hone in your skill to be regional so that there's an authenticity to that local person that's going to get that very directed ad to that person in that space on that street? Because we can direct the ads there now. How can we make it sound like them? How can we bring that to be real? You work on your accents, know your sounds, know your spaces and where they're from.
I think Emily's right there. Certainly, we'll
Yeah.
give Brandon a chance. But yeah, when we cast commercials, say in specific in Pennsylvania, we're doing Pennsylvania Supreme Court right now. You're taking the same ad, but the tone that we're casting in Fishtown is different than Drexel, which is different than suburban Philadelphia. You look at a suburban mom in Philadelphia. So you take one commercial, but we're putting 4 different voices on it, which for voice talent is good news, because as in Matt would say, in the days gone by, they might have said, well, we're going with this voice and that's it. But now we're casting 4 or 5 voices on one specific ad. So it's an interesting time to be in the business, but Emily's definitely right. We cast very specific to who the talent are. So your authentic self, where you're from, what your background is what we as casting directors are looking for. Do you live in Michigan? Were you in the military? Are you a parent? These are the questions that we're constantly asking our voice talent. So when we go to our consultants, particularly the digital consultants, we can drill way down in the casting. It's very specific. And we'll talk about Spanish casting later. Mm-hmm. Florida is different than Texas, which is different than Arizona, even though all those ads are in Spanish. The days, like Matt would talk about, the days of casting one Spanish announcer, male and female, to do all your Spanish announcing, totally over. That's forgotten.
Yeah, thank you. Brandon, do you want to add something?
No, that's all great, unless we want to get into the AI stuff that Emily brought up.
Well,
which
I
we
mean,
can-
I know there are so many voice actors in the audience, and I know they want to hear, and I'm so happy to hear that Emily does not is not a big fan of AI. And when I went to the creative conference a few weeks ago, we sat in a room with buyers, and they were like, "Yeah, we tried AI voices, didn't like it, not authentic. There's no emotion." But I mean, but AI is a useful tool in terms of workflow to maybe, after, I don't know. Can you address that? The AI helping your workflow, not necessarily replacing voices?
It'll be used as a tool for rapid prototyping, testing ad copy. You're certainly going to see ad copy written by AI.
Mhm.
But to Emily's points or Brandon's point, the use of synthetic voices in commercials, I think that's still down the road. The ability, obviously, to convey human emotion, authenticity, and cultural nuance. AI voices don't even get close to that. They certainly can't tell a joke. They can't tell a story. There's a moment of hyper-personalization that is coming down the road in political advertising, but I don't think we'll see it in the midterms at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in terms of production processes, I mean, to tell everyone on this call something they know, which is, we record the voiceover last, just because clients like screwing around with the content until the last minute. And, for decades, it was usually a scratch voiceover by one of our editors, and editors generally are the worst voice talents around.
Outrageous.
Yeah, exactly. Except for present company accepted, obviously. So, we'd have to explain to people like, hey, this is going to be a lot better when you have a real voice. And now, since it's pretty ubiquitous, that, I think setting aside the larger conversations about ethics and AI, I think it's acceptable to have an AI as your scratch voiceover. I think that's probably okay. But then you have to go and warn the client, this is going to sound vaguely like a human, but it is not a human. And this ad is probably 15 or 20% better than you think it is, because right now it's a little bit in the uncanny valley, and you're going to feel discomfited by this in ways that you might not be able to articulate. But it's because it's a fake voice making you have fake emotions. And this will not be good until we put a person on it. But that requires more explaining than it did before when you had an editor who clearly was not a professional voiceover as the scratch.
It's funny that you bring that up because I actually hate working with AI Scratch and always do my own, or my partner Austin does, because they never time it well. Like AI voice can never time the rhythm of an actual human. So then I have to recut the ad because the AI just burns through something that I know somebody who's, Southern, has a nice Southern drawl and is going to slowly kind of go through the spot. They're going to pace it in a certain way. But then I like doing Scratch.
Well, already, yeah. I mean, I've seen some scratches from my editors that they're just flying through it. They don't think about what the talent will actually do in the end. So, I'd like to hear more of your scratches. Yeah, so I mean, it's a huge topic. There's so much to cover, and there's so much going on, and it's changing. So, what we're saying now, and by the time midterms are upon us, and it may sound completely different. We don't know. It can increase in value quickly, but at least what a buddy of mine who's a strategist wants to say is like, as voiceover talent, the voiceover talent listening is like, you just have to be better than AI. As it gets better and as it's easier to listen to, it's not easy to listen to for most of us, but people are also, like Matt was saying, we're getting used to this awful content on the internet with the AI voices and just bad sounding content. So sometimes our voiceover talent will be replaced. All of our scratches probably at some point will be replaced. But for our strategists, our consultants, they want to keep working with talent. So make sure that you sound better than what our AI is doing. So keep practicing and make sure you hone your craft. Make sure you're easy to work with. Make sure you're doing a better job than what it would be. Because it's not going to be cheaper. It'll never be cheaper hiring a real person, but it can always be better. So make sure that you're better and easier to work with.
Thank you for that. Someone put in the chat, I don't remember who it was because I was furiously scribbling this question down, but someone pointed out that the FCC was exploring requiring disclosure for use of AI in political ads. Any of you
Good.
have any thoughts on that? I mean,
Abs-
I would love that.
I think that's essential. We're going to lose the confidence of the voter if we allow AI into political creative. If we allow it to take over on all the factions, they're going to tune out. And I totally hear what you're saying, Matt, about getting comfortable and familiar with it, for sure. That is definitely an element. But if we have disclaimers, at least that's like the bottom of the barrel we can do, is be like, oh yeah, by the way, half of this isn't made by humans.
Yeah, I'm 100% in favor of that. I mean, I think, and particularly, since I had a distressing milestone this week, that I had I thankfully have a very sharp and discerning set of friends in my life, but I had the first instance of someone sending me an AI video as if it were real. And I just had to figure out, a gentle way to note that, they needed to notice things better. But, I think, and the APC has done some good thinking about this, which is we're also going to need to define, exactly what AI is. Just for example, we had a shoot last year, and it was definitely a place you would never go and film anything. We were by a bunch of food trucks. There were a whole bunch of generators cranking. There was a DJ playing. And, I said to our DP, like, is this really what we want to do here? He's like, oh yeah, we can fix all of this in post now. And sure enough, like it all sounded pristine once it got run through the magic Peter Jackson filter or whatever it was, and is that AI cheating? Do you have to tell the world that no, really, we had bad sound here? So, again, I think we are up against, we do need to take sides against the machines here. But, we also need to figure out, exactly, where we're talking, what we're talking about when we do that.
I mean, using a sound engineer to clean up the audio sounds wonderful, and 2 thumbs up. Like, excellent idea.
But using
Cuomo
magic AI powers to clean up the audio in ways that were not doable a couple of years ago. Again, we're in that particular brave new world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But then you look at the example of the Cuomo ad that just came out, where he's like a train conductor and other things. That's just, look at all the talent you didn't hire to execute this.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you just saw a big backlash on the Cuomo ads. Obviously, you've seen a lot of backlash on the J.D. Vance impersonations, the Biden impersonations, a lot of bad press on that. But I think you are, as a talent, since we're talking to talent today, you do have to become very aware of what's happening with AI legislation. It's going to be a huge campaign issue in the midterms in 2028. It's going to be a gigantic issue. There's a new super PAC coming out of California that's funded by the, like the OpenAI and all the LLM platform people, and they're going to put tons of money into both Democratic and Republican candidates who are against AI legislation. So it's going to be an interesting time to be in the business. So
yeah,
it's a great subject. It's not a subject to be afraid of. It's a matter of, this is the time that we're working in and we want to be successful in. So it's just a matter of learning. And then, as some people will say, make sure you deal with, the 4 of us here are people who are trustworthy. You can trust us if you work with us. There might be some people out there who aren't as trustworthy. So as a talent, as an agent, as a manager, as a talent, make sure you become friends with people you can trust. That's all. And have contracts that are fair and that you're taken care of when you do if you do happen to be asked to be involved, a synthetic version of your voice happens to be involved in the spot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Andy James, he wanted to know, I went to the CNE Creative Conference a few weeks ago, but the GOP strategists were also talking about authenticity and ads. I mean, everybody wants to be authentically genuine as possible on all fronts. But there was one ad in particular that stood out to me that I thought it was, I can't remember the GOP candidate or the ad. I think it was Bully Pulpit made the ad, but it was a gamified 15-second ad. And it was like it was geared specifically to young men. And it was a game. And it seemed like it was an AI voice, or there was very little voiceover, but it was just all about like they were playing a game. And I thought that was very interesting, because young people, they do play games and you want to get them where they are. So I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that actually raises an excellent point here, which is particularly this coming out of GOP people. And, again, I'm going to go ahead and wear a partisan hat here, which is, it's a party that, essentially has abandoned any interest in representing actual reality, and it's all in service of a president who lied 30,000 times in public during his first term and is speed running past that now. So, again, we need to remember that authenticity may be a different creature than actual honesty and actual representation of reality. And, it's, in theory, authenticity should be, representation of the real. Unfortunately, it's, we may be in a space, particularly if Republicans are talking about this, that it's a representation of a particular idea of the real, which, may not actually conform with reality.
But I also think it's a fair point that Andy brings, that, you want to be it's a very competitive business, whether you're a voice talent or a production company like ourselves. So you have to be aware of what the other side is doing. Certainly all the political consultants know each other. It's not like the GOP doesn't know what the DNC is up to. So you, as a talent, as a producer, myself, we're always aware of what the other side is doing and how they're conveying messages, because we're in a competition. We're trying to have our candidate or our issue ads, ring through. So, Andy's right. The GOP does a very interesting job when it comes to using authentic voices, and when it comes to their like the influencers. They're really good at using influencers to get across their messaging. And what we're hearing from our DNC political consultants is that now they're going to head into that area where they're going to try to make better use of influencers and those sorts of voices that resonate maybe a little better than a straight up announcer voice has in the past. How about that?
Yeah. I know we could talk about this all day. It's good to know AI is pretty much just for scratch voices still. Is that how you mostly hear the AI voices in your jobs?
For now.
Yeah, for the moment now. Eventually, the hyper-personalization of the way content will be presented to us, just in a marketing way, will change. Again, I don't think 2026 will see it so much, but eventually a talent like yours, Soraya, if they like you and they want to use you for get out the vote in Atlanta or get out the vote in, maybe New York State, something like that, we may be asked as production companies to create a synthetic version of your voice. Obviously, we'll have a straight up contract. You'll understand how it's being used. But then we can, again, as Emily said, we're on a digital content way. We're so able to pinpoint where the ads go. There's no way I can record you reading 1,000 county names or 1,000 town names and deliver it quickly to respond to an ad. But a synthetic version of yours, a synthetic version of your voice will give me that opportunity. But it's not this, it hasn't happened yet. But as a company, we're preparing for that moment, because our consultants are going to come to us and ask for that. How, as an audio production company, can you pull this off? So we're working on that. We're trying to find partners who we can trust that can create those audio files for us.
Thank you so much for bringing that point up, because there was someone on a panel discussion who there was a voice actor who was hired to voice like many commercials for a candidate, and they were bilingual. So they had to do the ads in Spanish and in English. And they did create a licensing situation where they had to make an AI model of that actor's voice with very specific terms and, precautions and all of it. And there were very few voice actors in the room, and we were very excited to hear about that, because that's what we want. We want our voices to be protected. And as you say, to your point, political is so fast moving that there's no way that I could do 1,000 prompts and get it to you, within an hour, but my AI voice could do that. So I have yet to make an AI model of my voice, but that would be a specific case that I would have to give consideration to, and to know that I would have precautions and, everything, all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed, and that I would get fair compensation for that.
Yeah.
So
the marketing will push the technology there.
Yeah.
It's the nature of business.
Yeah, and I do want to just underscore the importance of kind of the tightness of the necessary tightness of legal constraints on this. There was a talent we work with who'd gotten an audio file from an agency that's not me, where basically just as a goof, they had used AI to turn this woman's voice into a pro-Trump voiceover, and sent it to her with the haha, isn't this funny? And isn't it great that now we can just have you record anything and not get you out of bed, and 2 a.m. if we need to make an edit. And I said, and she was creeped out by this in ways that maybe she didn't have the words for. But it's like, if someone's going to do this as a goof, they're going to do it for real. I think it is very, very important that you guys are protected on that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
And as an editor, I've rejected AI. When I've had clients send me AI voices for voiceovers, I've rejected them and sent them back and said, we have to work with actual humans on these ads. I didn't agree to make you an ad with a fake voice. So we have to advocate for each other.
Good job, Emily. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it's always about sticking together. It's what I said about trustworthy partners. It's all about sticking together. It's what it's about. It's how you succeed.
Yeah, I want to shout out Emily for that as well. Good call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
it's what the political consultants are looking for. They're looking for real partners. When they're looking for voiceover talent or production people like ourselves, they're looking for people they can trust. They're looking for people they know they can count on 24/7. We should talk about, there's a lot of voice talent now who want to get into politics, younger voice talent who we're looking for, but they need to understand the schedule and what your life's going to be like if you get into a campaign. So we should probably talk about the speed of delivery.
Yes, I was just going to say that's a perfect segue, Jim. So go ahead, let's start, because I saw a few questions come through that how do I get into VO? What do I need to know? And that the speed and the professionalism with which you have to work, I cannot underscore it enough. You have to be ready at all times. And if you're leaving an hour from your booth, you bring your microphone with you and let your client know, I'm stepping away for an hour, but I will return to my booth. I cannot stress that enough. Anyone who wants to get into political voiceover, especially when it's midterms and an election year.
It's 7 days a week. It's all day long. Guaranteed.
24/7. Yeah, for sure.
And those of us who do it, we love it. I love it. So, and the consultants that we work with, they love it. These are sharp young people that you're going to be dealing with, particularly like creative digital content strategists, who are the people you should be looking for if you're looking to make connections. Also with production houses like ourselves, you want to make connections with people like us. But these young people, they live and breathe social media. They live and breathe streaming platforms. So these are things you have to start to understand how they work if you want to get into this business. And, any one of us can talk about how quickly things turn over and the sort of requests we get. If somebody wants to pick that up, tell us, tell a real life story maybe about how quickly ads are made nowadays.
Yeah, so I think for voiceover talent on the call, just know that we're the very end of this process, right? So client, writers, consultants, lawyers, everybody's involved. Then we're editing. We have this video already set. Usually it's video. We do a lot of radio too, but even the radio, everybody already has their hand until we finally get it. And when we get it, it's ready for air. And it's almost always like, great. At least with me as an audio engineer, I need a live session and we're going to be done, in 2 hours. And it's got to be already up so we can get it to the stations by morning. And so if you and I come up with our availability and something changes, you're going to probably get replaced. If you go on vacation in October, don't do that, one. But if you go on vacation, you're just gone. We got to find someone else. I know Matt was telling a story, so he's a little more forgiving with Soraya. Some of my clients, if they weren't there for that session that we needed, they just move on and that's it. Like, we just don't go back because we don't have time. And that's usually, some people call it the golden handcuff. You have to be kind of chained to a booth, but your car, if you're driving around, your car sounds good too. So we can connect on Source Connect. We could do these live sessions. Things are changing overall. We used to do every single one live session. Now these pay-to-play sites are getting a lot more work. So, unfortunate for Jim and I, we don't love that as much. It used to be all to us and our talent, right? But you can find it everywhere, and you can be doing this at 3 a.m. and send it out, and they'll use your files that you send out. So that part is getting a little bit better. We're getting a little more leniency of when to get the audio and if you have to be in the live session. But if you're going to disappear for a week to Mexico, that's probably an issue for still a lot of our consultants and strategists.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of trust. We saw in the Harris Walls campaign, a lot of younger producers who really hadn't been in a lot of voiceover sessions. And so it was like, we just need a black man in his 30s from the South. Just get us 2 or 3 of those and put the copy down and send them to us. And then they'll pick someone. That's not always the case, but it seemed to grow. Particularly towards the end, as the campaign was coming to an end, there was a lot of like, just do it. And it's only because the consultants themselves, creative writers, are so busy. They have a lot of responsibilities. And so they are going to lean on you as a voice talent, or lean on us as producers to help them out, help them understand things. So again, as a voice talent, Brandon touched on it, everybody's touched on it. You really have to grow your skill package. Because they need you to be perfect, or they'll just jump over you. We won't come back to you, or even any one of us. We won't be able to come back to you. It's like, I can't count on you. So you really need to develop your skills, because it's not like, oh, here we go. Here's your script. Here's all your direction. This is what we're looking for. Those moments happen, but that's really not what this industry is about.
And sometimes, as a talent, you're asked to self-direct because, the producers are also very busy and cutting other things. So you have to know how to give different reads and send it off, like do it 3 or 4 or 5 different ways. And then, then leave it up to someone like Emily to say, oh, this was great. No notes. Or to say, no, I liked your second take, but on the third line, give me a little more anger, agita, concern, something. And then you have to know how to make that change and send it back to Emily as soon as you can. Some of the newer voice actors, they were asking, should one have a demo as a voice actor? Because, we make a lot of demos for different genres. Should voice actors have a specific political demo?
Have to.
I would say yes, 100%.
Yeah, I would say like 15 years ago, when I first did my first political one, we were working with like 7 voice talent, right? That was it. Like, those were all of it. So then we would just do it day in, day out. And now over the years, I mean, everybody that we already work with in our commercial and our narration stuff are now getting political demos and getting training and getting into it. But there's more and more places these go. So there's more and more work, more and more billions being spent each cycle. But for me, at least, I rarely do auditions. It's coming up more and more. It used to be 0 auditions, and now it's a few every year. But it's always, I'm sending out demos, clients saying, hey, I like these 3 people, or I just pick one, or get these 3 people to do a read. And then it's our audition, right? But sometimes it's guided because I like to voice direct, right? But if you're just like, hey, I want to do this work, that's great. You can go to Voice 123 and Voices, and you can go audition on pay-to-plays and maybe get some work. But I can't send, your commercial demo to try to book you political work. You got to have a political demo.
All right.
And a good one.
100%.
Yeah, on that political demo, make sure it's about that somehow your voice is showing how you connect with copy. It's not just about performance anymore and a tone. Don't sound like someone on CNN. Just be yourself. Really, they want to hear who you are. That's the key, at least for us at Lotus Productions. That's what we're looking for. Make sure creative digital content people want to know you can connect to copy. That's what they're looking for. And that's a real skill.
And a pro tip from editors, give me variations in speed. Learn how to talk fast. Learn how to be clear when you're talking fast, because sometimes the copy is more than 76 words. You know what I'm saying?
Always.
And so you gotta jam it in there. You gotta be clear and you gotta speak yourself. So practice speed.
Yeah. Just imagine someone wrote 76 words and it's beautiful. It's a great 30-second ad. And then they sent it to lawyers and they're like, you know what? We need some more words just to make sure we're not liable for something. Right. And so now we're at our 84, 85, 90 words. And they're like, that's really your problem now, voice talent.
Yes.
So you have to get better at making that, the emotion, all of it. It's got to be a great read, but do it quicker. And we're going to do this over and over.
Yeah, I always love it when I need to begin my directing sessions with an apology that the lawyers got to it. And, you're not going to get to show the full range of your craft except for the speed part, which, which is unfortunately a thing that happens. The other kind of contrary piece is when we do get to build a good wall, a good defensive fortress around the length, I usually get the stern warning from the editor that it's like, please give me one read at like 28. Like, just, I want, I know everyone wants to give you every little wrinkle that they can in their repertoire, but, I'm going to need one where I can move some things around.
Yeah.
Right. Very true.
I have two important questions that I want to touch on because Ashley Turner says, how often should your political demo be updated?
Depends when you made it, I guess, Ashley. You want to be in the game. I know you do. We work, Ashley and I work together. Yeah. Be mindful of what the midterms are going to be about. Be mindful of what we're talking about today, what we're sharing today. And if your demo is like, from a campaign or so ago, you're pre-Biden, you might want to update it because the digital content strategists are younger and they're listening to different things and include issue ads. It's not just about candidates. Be mindful that it's much more of an issue ad industry now than, Joe Brown wants to be your congressman. That exists, but it's much more issue ads. I'm sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just noting that one of my own spots is on someone's demo reel that they recorded in 2008. And it's been a few months since I checked, but if they haven't finished in that amount of time.
It was that good,
it was,
Matt.
Just the 13th best spot we made that week. And this person's been bragging on it for 17 years. So anyway, I maybe am more forgiving. I'll give you a cycle or two, but 2008 is definitely too long ago.
Yeah. So I could talk forever about demos. I produce these, so I have a lot of thoughts. I hear a lot of bad ones, and I want to make sure when you're doing these, a tip here is I want these spots to sound like real spots, right? It sounds like something that maybe Matt did, right? If he hears something that's super fake, it doesn't sound like anything that's ever been produced. Maybe just there's cursing on it. There's some silly joke in it, or there's just something that's so out of our genre of ads. I don't think this is helpful for him, right? If he's not making these ads, why is he listening to this demo, right?
Yeah. Also, I just identify a little bit of attention here, which is that is 100% correct. I would also say that, like, if your demo is just the most generic of political spots, yes, you have met a threshold of being successful at having recorded a basic political ad, but as an agency, I'm usually hopefully trying to make something creative. So if there's anything out there that has some sort of wrinkle to it, has some sort of agency approved version of a joke or something, or something that's at least a little bit conceptual, I'd like to know you can handle that.
Yeah. Perfect. And then also, is that with the how often to do it, right? Listen to it, get some opinions of people who do this work. Is it outdated? Because sometimes it's not actually just about the names. It's about what kind of reads you were doing, right? I know I listened to someone's demo and it was just like the most flowery, wonderful, very hopeful stuff. And that's great. I don't think this cycle is going to sound like that. I don't think we have a lot of like, yay, our voice counts, and when you vote, we win. All these like wonderful things, right? I think it's going to be a little more serious. I think we have a lot of negative stuff to talk about. We have fascism to fight. So I think we're not going to meet that moment soft and gently. So if your demo just doesn't feel like the right cycle, it feels like maybe, we update for that.
I think that's a good point. In progressive politics, it's not going to be flowers and roses. But Micah has a question. She wants to know, are there voice ages that are most in demand right now more than others? I guess as a woman, do any of you see a more focus in one age group versus another age group?
Well, American culture is changing. There's definitely a cultural change going on in the country. So at least from the Lotus point of view, younger voices, multicultural voices, more diversity, LGBTQ voices. That's what we're looking for. Diverse female voices. That's important to us.
Excellent.
That's our point of view. We hire Paul Pape, right down the middle. Here's a message. We do that. But I think the future of political advertising, particularly for people who might be looking here today, younger, multicultural, bilingual, very, very market specific, as Emily said. So show who you are. Don't try to be like Mr. and Mrs. Generic. Be like, hey, this is what I am. I'm a Detroit female mom of 3 kids, and I was in the military. Yeah. That's important because that's how we sell it back. That's how I sell it back to my client. Like, you can listen to these 5 people, but let me tell you right here, this woman, Emily, this is who she is. She's exactly what you want. Mm-hmm. Because there's nuance to that read, because it's real. It's real. Mm-hmm. This is affecting your grocery prices. This is affecting what happens in school to your children. So you want that voice to come out in your ad.
Excellent. Thank you for that. There are lots of people in the chat who are asking about training. And anyone besides Brandon, do you offer workshops or any trainings that we could put in the notes later, or you want to speak about here? Anyone? So it's Brandon.
Brandon.
Jim.
Well, we want to meet people. No, we don't coach. We don't make demos. We just produce things. But we certainly want to meet talent. Like I said at the beginning, when we come here, you want to reach out to us. It's just hello@lotusproductions.com. And we're interested in your story. It's all about meeting people, understanding who you are, because our casting is very, very market specific and very, very drilled down. So reach out to us. We always want to meet people.
Yeah, likewise. You can send me an email, emily@fishtownfilms.com, or just DM me on Instagram @fishtownfilms. We're always looking for more voices, so absolutely hit us up.
Yeah, if you want to see more of my interest in content, what I have to say about political advertising, check me out on LinkedIn. There's a variety of blogs on both AI, blogs on political content, what we're looking for talent and brands. There's a really interesting article on my LinkedIn site right now that was written by Sarah Kendrick, who did content for Harris Walls, about female voices going into the 2026 and 2028 and how Democrats are going to rethink how they use female voices. It's a very, very interesting article she wrote.
So my favorite part, and it always has been since I was just recording voiceover auditions in a cave, is the voice direction, is helping people get connected with the copy, take direction from our client, and kind of translate to what us people in the industry do, right? So yeah, I'll do coaching. I like to work with all of your agents, management companies. Sometimes they'll hire me to do stuff for workshops for your groups. So I guess you could always request me to do that. Maybe I'll do a workshop myself, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You can reach out to me at brandon@soundnectarstudios.com and we can chat.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to thank you all for being here. This has been a lovely, lovely, informative conversation. So I thank you. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Soraya. Great to be here. And Building Doors, thank you very much. For Lotus, we're excited to see the next generation of voice actors come into political advertising. I think it's going to be really interesting to have this genuine humanity come into scripts. And let's win. It's all about winning.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Let's win.
There's a lot of work to be done.
A lot of work to be done. So if you're new, it's a great time. It's a great time to start in political VO.
I agree.
It's never too late. more and more ads, more and more places for them to be placed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that, I have to close out our session. A huge thank you again to my panel guests for sharing their time and expertise today. On behalf of Building Doors, we truly appreciate you, and a big shout out to everyone who joined us live today. You want to support the campaign? Buy us a coffee like Alicia O just did. Go to buymeacoffee.com/buildingdoorsvo to donate. We'd love to keep the conversation going. Please give us a call at 216-307-1917 anytime to leave us a short voicemail with your thoughts on today's discussion and the Building Doors campaign. I want to promote our next live event that's going to happen on Instagram Live with Brandon Miller. The topic, Stop Chasing Likes, Start Being Remembered, October 27 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram Live. Thank you so much for joining us today. Soraya Butler with Building Doors VO. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Building Doors podcast. Want to hear more? Check out all our episodes at buildingdoorsvo.com/podcast and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Building Doors VO. We'd love to hear from you, so call us on our 24/7 hotline at 216-307-1917 and leave us a voicemail with your thoughts. Do you want to support the podcast? Well, we love coffee. Buy us a cup through the link in the description or at buildingdoorsvo.com. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep speaking up, and let's keep building doors together.